this might be the last podcast for a while.
You think?
There's a high chance that Phoebe's going to go into labor before next week.
Right, you guys are having a baby.
Which would mean that I'll be on paternity leave.
Yeah.
And then right after that, you're on your hike.
Yeah.
For a month.
What are we going to do?
And then I'm running my Ironman. And then we'll be back in like mid-July. So it's like, this is the last episode of the year. Because you moved here a year ago in June. And so this is like literally the last one.
This would be the last one.
So this is like that's why we have multiple drinks on the table.
All right.
Actually, let me take these off.
Oh.
It's freaking me out. We've got some premium tonic water.
Thank you.
Let's well, I actually got this for your birthday the other day.
Yeah.
So
that was nice of you guys. Thank you. Let me twist my tweel here.
I already did it for you.
Let me get a little fragrance. Effervescence.
I don't know how to. So I needed the coffee because it's now the end of the day. We normally record this a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I drink coffee every time we have podcasts, anyways. But like, how are we supposed to combine these two beverages?
Damn, that's good.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
To a good year.
To another good, successful, prosperous year.
Because listen to this. If this is the last episode, we might have like a weird episode next week. If he's like 10 days overdue.
Literally bursting at the seams.
But let's assume that this is the last one.
Yeah.
By the time we come back to an episode, I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to run an Ironman.
Hell yeah.
Boris and Johan's going to be finished. And
I'll say about that one.
And you're going to have hiked for 30 days.
Yeah, which is...
Those are big things.
Equivalent, if not more important than being a dad, in my opinion.
I mean...
when it comes to life goals. No, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah.
I don't know when we should do it, but I thought it would be really fun to watch the first video we made once you got here.
Yeah, I tried once.
When's the last time you watched it?
The first YouTube video or the first podcast episode?
No, not the first podcast
I was going to say, that one is rough to watch.
No, I mean the first video the podcast episode would be the first piece of content we produced together, though, isn't it?
That's cringe fest.
Man.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking the first YouTube video because
those are easy to watch, yeah.
Do you want to watch it real quick?
Yeah. Very strange that I have a large nose, and I'll tell you why.
I guess you're privileged to have a big nose then, because you don't live in harsh conditions.
The habanero one? Holy fuck, dude. Woo! Maybe I've been treating this bike as some sort of parkour bike when really it's just a...
I once came face to face with a wild rhinoceros. That was pretty crazy.
I got stung by a bee once.
God, do I remember editing that like it was yesterday.
Wow. When was that uploaded?
This was uploaded
June?
June 29th or something.
We're close.
It literally, that does not feel like it's a year ago.
It would be a year ago, though. Look at the first podcast.
First podcast.
What is the upload date on that?
Podcast.
No, actually, it would be a little bit later. It's probably end of May.
I want to do a welcome
5th of June.
Ah.
Oh, right.
We're close.
Just call it Burning Boat Podcast. Okay. And then we'll figure it out.
This is when we used to edit them.
We'll throw that in separately. All right. Ready? Yep.
Woo! That's crazy. 1 year.
Fun looking back at stuff like that.
I mean, it does feel like today's like the end of something. We just finished. We just sent off 3 of the biggest videos we've ever made.
Yeah.
To various clients.
Yeah.
And
it is 3.
Those are the ones that are those are the big ones. We've got 2 more videos to edit.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are we gonna do that?
I don't know. Whoever has time. I'd say here's what I'm thinking, and I haven't even thought about it. I think we put everything on hold starting now.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, don't even edit the music bunker stuff? Or
No. Because I think I can tackle that when you're on paternity.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah.
So I mean, put everything on hold. Start Boris and Johan.
Oh, yeah. That's the plan.
As if there's nothing else.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I totally agree. And that's tomorrow.
Exactly.
Start tomorrow with that.
Exactly.
That's why we're finishing.
So for the people who don't know, basically, this long fucking timeline, we started editing the first feature of Burning Boat, I would say back in December.
Yeah.
And I would say we went hard until
February.
End of February.
Yeah.
What were we doing in March?
February, March.
I swear we were editing in March as well.
We were starting to kind of
to transition.
And match. We were doing meetings, we were writing scripts,
so we got
stuff like that.
About a good solid, I would say 3.5 months of editing in.
Yeah.
Kind of
almost undisturbed.
Yeah.
We had like a shoot here and a shoot there, but that was about it.
Yeah. And then, shit happens. You got to make money. You got to build the company and stuff. And we ran out of time. So we had to move on to doing videos for other companies and all that stuff to kind of stack the old account a little bit again. And so now we really haven't touched it. I mean, I think we maybe touched it for a day or two here and there.
Yeah, literally.
There
was a phase though where the transition into working on the commercials for money was you kept
I kept
editing,
working,
and I started doing all the pre-production.
Yeah, exactly.
Organizing all the locations and the actors and the scripts and all that.
Exactly.
And then as soon as we started shooting them, you had to get involved as well.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was like 1 or 2 days where we sat down and actually worked on Boris and Johan.
Yeah. And so now, today, kind of, I would say marks probably the end of work for others. It goes back to the feature, which means I have maximum about 2 weeks and a couple days before I leave for my trip.
Yeah.
Which is a little stressful.
It's good.
Yeah. I think that's a good amount of time to be able to send it out for sound mix. Would be my goal at this point. I think, yeah.
I think that's what we've talked about.
That's realistic. And then I can get it to Bennett, and Bennett's my brother, and I can tell him he basically has a month to do his thing.
Yeah.
Get it back. And yeah, I don't know. I was even thinking if he finishes early, he could send it to you. And if it passes your test, it could go off to people. I mean, we could make the list beforehand.
Oh, so like withhold it to send out to people?
Yeah.
Then he does some work on it,
music and sound.
and then we send it out to people.
And maybe like 2 weeks in, send it out to people so that by the time I'm back,
it's already been watched.
it would have already been watched.
That's a good point.
And we could address notes and then fucking submit it to those motherfucking festivals.
It just feels like it's one of those things where we've put in so much work for so long and no one has seen anything of it.
Yeah.
Like no one has seen anything.
No.
So it's like all of this
And
energy that's just like being stored in some cave that's
Yeah.
just waiting to explode.
yeah.
I mean, and I'm not even talking about whether or not it's good. I'm just talking about the physical hours and effort and brain power that have gone into this thing that's just
Yeah. I mean,
invisible.
literally more than 1,000 hours just in editing alone.
Yeah.
What do they say? It takes 10,000 hours to become like a genius at something. It's like, once it's just slabbed off 10% of that right there in one fell swoop.
To become a master.
To become a master.
Yeah.
So
It's like I remember I used to listen to these not podcasts but like motivational tapes
yeah.
by Les Brown.
Yeah.
Remember we listened to one of those?
We did.
And he was talking about this story of like there's this, I think it's a bamboo tree that it takes 4 years to grow to be 80 meters tall. But for the first 3 years and 8 months, it hasn't even sprouted out of the ground yet. And then all of a sudden in 4 months, it goes like
Exponential.
But it needs to like to be taken care of for that whole time.
Yeah.
And so like you're watering nothing basically. Just
Yeah.
part of the soil, and people are looking at you going like, why are you still doing that? You know, like doesn't look like it's turning into anything. And then all of a sudden it's there, but it's like it's hard to keep working on it when like there's nothing to show.
And I think it even goes past finishing it.
Yeah.
We could finish it and nothing could come from it. Mm-hmm. Which in my head would still be totally, everything was justified. Move on to your film. I mean, I don't know how many films it would take till.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Always. But that's a little bit hard to explain sometimes. Because even now, I mean, it's been. I'm guessing it will have been a year and a half when it's said and done.
Since
Like, it's out, it's in festivals, it's doing its own thing. It's not being touched anymore.
Since when? Since we started shooting it?
Since production, yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't that crazy, you know, from an outsider's perspective maybe, but when you're in it, it feels like a long time to be consistently working on something.
Yeah, well, it's just over a year ago that we finished shooting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that video we just watched, that was made like a month and a half after we wrapped production.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think.
It is. And how much time it takes to set up the next one. I mean, it's just like, they're just massive projects.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about my script, obviously. But like, I think a big part of what, let me just backtrack a little bit. I was listening to a podcast, and the guy was talking about, it was Tim Ferriss, he was talking about the next book he's writing.
Yeah.
Which is, I believe it's about how to deal with trauma in your life.
Okay.
And he was talking about how he's not sure if the reason why he hasn't started writing it is because he's like a perfectionist and he wants it to be as like the best it can possibly be.
Yeah.
So he's like over researching.
Yeah.
Or if it's because he's not sure he's doing the subject justice a little bit. Like he doesn't know enough about it.
I see.
There's a difference, I think. I mean, he made it quite clear, and I was trying to think about my film a little bit, and I think that's exactly what I realized when we had shot it was this isn't doing it justice, this topic.
Right.
It would be wrong, not just like a shame, like, oh, it could have been better. It would be like wrong to make something that wasn't properly covering the topic in a way that at least felt like there's been put a lot of thought into it. And it's like a finished thought.
Yeah.
Or a finished idea. But I feel like very recently I've like, you keep asking me like, so how does it end? Like, what's the thing? And I'm always like, I feel like I can actually like answer that now.
Do you want to?
No, not at all. I mean, it'll make no sense coming out of my mouth.
Yeah,
but in
yeah.
my head, it's like, this is the answer.
You're getting somewhere.
This is what it's about.
I see.
And it's a single thing. It's very easy to understand, but it's a
see.
very complex thing. So that's quite
Oh,
satisfying
a little
as well.
tease.
It's like, it's tough though. You start on such a big project, and it's one of the things that still, very few things stress me out. But something that stresses me out is that I crowdfunded all this money.
Yeah.
And I said I was making a documentary.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the same way, like, you saved all this money and then you shot a film.
Yeah.
But you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep explaining where it is.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't it done? Where is
Yeah.
it? Why just work on it? And it's like, I mean, there's so many things. That's a big one.
It's so many things, and you can only come up with so many like excuses. I feel like every time someone asks you, at some point you're just like, it's just not done. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
for me, it's very much like we could have finished it. I could have done something. I could have made something.
Of your film?
But I kept choosing not to because
Yeah.
I felt like there was more. There's more that needed to be said.
Yeah.
There's more that needed to be done.
Well, I think it's that balance. It was that documentary I watched on fucking Orson Welles,
Yeah.
where you see the negative side of that, the how far that can go, where it's like you just never finish anything,
Right.
because
Yeah.
there's never the perfect time where actually everything makes sense. And I think the same way with Boris and Johan, where I saw how the film really does become its own thing at some point. Like I could have had as much input as I wanted, and at some point it just kind of
Yeah.
does its own little thing, and you're like, oh, that's the character. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, and these things suddenly start to make sense. So I think in that way, and you know, a lot of times maybe that's not what you wanted, or that's not what you, and then it's like, yeah, maybe you could have planned more, maybe you could have, but there is a balance to
Yeah. Saying
making
like, all right,
things
it's done now. We
right,
just
because
need
in
to go with
college
it.
I kept on just bailing.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, it's not what I wanted.
Mm.
And then I'd just be like, well, why keep working on it if it's not what I wanted? But it's like, that's not a good thing. You know?
Yeah. If it's not what you wanted because of something you did, that's different. Like if you felt like it was because you'd done the wrong thing.
Right. But you also don't learn really. I mean, like, even with Boris and Johan, like, there's so many things I would change if I could.
Right.
But at the same time, like, going through it and having to deal with it and fixing it and finding a solution. Maybe it's not the perfect solution, but it's like that skill set obviously is going to translate way more into my second film than had I just been like, well, fuck it.
Well, it's like
It didn't work, you know?
If you could have a product that's 80% of its full potential
Yeah.
right now versus waiting 10 years for it to come out at 100 or at 95%. It's like, put it out now. Like, do it now.
Yeah, and then pull a Kubrick and just burn every fucking copy of it, you know? At least you
No,
finished
don't do
it.
that. I'll keep a copy somewhere.
But yeah, it's crazy. And one thing that is, you know, even though I say, oh, we gotta switch mindsets and work on stuff for other companies and make money, like that shit is teaching us a ton as well. I mean, just in terms of
I've found it very, very fulfilling.
yeah. So there's massive benefits to that as
Yeah.
well, right?
I mean,
everything
there-
is kind of piecing into each other and blah blah blah. And I don't even know how where the company is going to transition and how it's going to transition and what we're gonna. It all feels very
It's
like
very exciting.
just go with the flow.
It's very exciting
Yeah.
because we have so much stuff right now
Yeah.
that is all that no one has seen.
Yeah.
All the videos we haven't
Yeah.
released a video in like
Yeah.
4 months,
Yeah.
but we have a bunch of content. We have
Yeah.
4 massive videos that are going to come out in the next couple of.
Yeah.
We're not releasing them.
Even the
but-
sports video might come out quite quickly. I mean,
Well, that's not even one of the 4 videos.
I know.
It's crazy. And then plus the feature-length film, plus the script. It's like we've been putting in so much work,
Yeah.
and we haven't seen any returns for it yet.
Yeah.
That's the stuff we're seeing now is still stuff from the videos we produced like half a year ago.
Yeah.
It'll just be exciting to see what this new stuff does.
For the
So
next round of jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like this stuff it's a lot better.
It is.
It's a lot better.
Yeah.
It's also very different.
It's more thought out.
It's technically better. It's just you
Yeah.
just see that like
It also
We've learned a
allows
little
you
bit.
when it's like, I think when we did our first negotiations for contracts and stuff, it's like the more you do it, obviously the more you understand what you need to make a good video. So the more comfortable I feel with like dealing with bigger and bigger budgets where it's like, I don't feel like, oh, we're scamming these people or something. It's like, no, like obviously just the more you do, the more it's like we could add another shoot day. We can hire professional actors. We can like, there's all this room still to grow where it's like, I mean, we've had decent budgets now, but it's still like fucking crazy
still
shoot
micro,
days.
but yeah, it's
Yeah.
still crazy.
And it's
Imagine if we
tiny.
could spread it out over twice the amount of
Yeah.
time.
Just that, well, let's talk about, have we talked since the sports shoot?
No, we haven't talked since Aarhus.
Aarhus, at the bottom of my street.
Yeah.
Um,
Should we start there?
yeah, let's start there.
All right.
Back
Back to Aarhus.
at the bottom of the street. Oh, we had our last shoot on from last
Blah, blah, blah.
Tuesday to Friday.
We're talking about Aarhus first.
What was Aarhus? Oh, Aarhus. Right. That was 2 weeks ago.
Weekend before last.
Weekend before last on Saturday. Right?
Yeah.
We went to go shoot a music festival, the Spot Festival.
In Aarhus.
In Aarhus.
The second largest city in Denmark.
And
Mainland Denmark.
Mainland Denmark. Is there a bigger one outside mainland Denmark?
No, that was two separate comments.
Oh, okay.
Second largest city, and it's in mainland Denmark.
So yeah, that
I think. Is it?
yeah, somebody said it's the second.
No, the mainland part.
Oh, we did cross the water, I thought. Yeah, we definitely crossed the water.
Aarhus.
Although, is Copenhagen part of mainland? No. Okay, yeah, then it is mainland. Oh my god, I'm dragging.
It is.
Okay. So yeah, we went to go shoot a music festival out there. A bunch of high school kids that had been part of a program and were basically, they had a showcase to show off their music in this like live venue part of this festival, right? Which meant we had to take a bus for about 4 hours on a day where it was quite scary because Phoebe's obviously pregnant. And that was the one time it was kind of like...
Yeah, we're starting to get into the window where it was totally normal for women to give birth at that time.
Yeah.
And so being away because we had to overnight because the last band was playing at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
And the buses didn't go until the next morning at 7.
Yeah.
So we had to overnight there. So it was I was a little worried with having my phone, and my phone was like running out of battery constantly, and I brought in like this crappy cable that kept not charging my phone, so it was like barely staying at 6% for like 4 hours of the night.
Yeah.
But nothing ended up happening.
Yeah. And the bands were amazing.
The bands were really good. I'm very excited to edit that.
Yeah.
Especially now that they sent us the music for it.
They sent us the music. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Neon Priest is going to be famous someday.
Neon Priest, yeah.
I want to be the first person to shout them out. Although they don't even have any music out right now, so
yeah,
pretty lame shout out.
You can't go listen to any of it.
But just keep them in your mind.
God,
they were really fucking good.
It was so much fun. I'm so happy you had to film that. We were alternating, so every other band would take turns to film, and I got to just listen to the last one. Well, I was pretending to record some sound to make it look like I was doing something.
Yeah.
But I got to just like experience the performance. Cool. They were so good live, and everyone who was there was just in this like trance.
Yeah.
They play like electronic techno music.
Yeah. And
it was suddenly a bunch of young people who seemed to have like known that they were playing.
Yeah.
They seemed to know the music, and they were all just kind of like huddled up in the front.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Like it was like a tribe. It was crazy. And the lead singer was just like, he was like king of everyone. Even me. I was like,
both of us were like, that guy's cool. It's very weird how there's some people, if there's like 4 people on stage, there's somebody who grabs your attention, and it's definitely not random, I think.
No, it's probably the lead singer.
Usually, but I think a couple of the bands, I was kind of drawn to somebody else, to one of the people playing the keyboard or something, or I don't know, a person who has stage presence that kind of forces your eye towards them constantly, I find that kind of fascinating.
I think just between the bands and just looking at the lead singers, like even within that, there was some people who had more of a presence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
I don't even know his name.
No. He just had it. Whatever he had it. And it's one of those things where it's then he could wear whatever, and he'd be like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to do that too. I was like, nah, never mind. I can't pull anything off.
I'm
a dad now.
Yeah. So that was really fun, actually. But that was a fucking long day.
That was a tough shoot.
Yeah. And then, but it was fun too.
5 in the morning until 2 in the morning.
The first time somebody comped a hotel for us, which I've never had happen before. Which
That's
felt
true.
Business trip. Yeah.
Woo.
Bunk
beds.
bunk beds.
Aarhus is like the party city of
Dude,
the
fuck.
fucking world.
Screw
or at least
Copenhagen.
Europe.
Go to Aarhus.
It was like insane.
It was. We finished filming probably at 2,
Yeah.
carrying all the equipment, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're gonna be walking through some quiet streets.
Yeah.
A couple bars open, maybe. It is a Saturday. There's a festival going on. Dude, every fucking bar was packed. Like, packed.
Everyone was out.
Yeah. Everyone. As if it was like 7 in the afternoon.
As if it were New Year's Eve.
Yeah. It was crazy. And then we went to bed, and we woke up, got the bus at like 6 a.m. or something, 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady just walked out of the bar. She was like, I want to say she was like 32. She didn't look trashed or anything. She just went, hugged this guy at the door.
Yeah.
Was like, bye.
Just
Like, did you just, you're going home now?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a normal thing. And it wasn't like there was a rave going on in there. It's like they literally just hung out until 6 in the morning or something. I was like, these fucking people.
But there were a lot of people in there. But it was like,
Yeah.
But it wasn't like crazy in
At
there.
6? No, that's the thing. I'm used to, like, in LA, yeah,
It wasn't
every once in a
6,
while
it was
you'll,
like 7.
yeah, you'll stay out that
7:30.
late or something, but it's like a select group of people and it's a very specific type of
But it was
party.
like everyone.
Yeah, it was just like,
Every other bar still had people in it.
yeah. No makeup running down her face. It's like she could have gone to a business meeting right afterwards. And been like,
No
oh,
one
I'm
would
here.
have known.
Yeah. That's what you call an alcoholic. No. So that was fun. We took the bus home then. We played a little bit of 21 Questions.
Oh, never play 21 Questions with this guy.
With me?
Yeah, jeez.
With
You don't know
me?
anything. You call yourself a film guy.
Yeah.
You don't know shit.
Here's the thing. You're supposed to pick out a film, right? And then the other person asks 21 questions. And through asking those questions, you kind of try to guess the film, right?
Yes or no questions, yeah.
I give you fucking layups, right? I'm like, here's the ball, Mads. Alley-oop.
Yeah, you gave me some
right?
easy
Some
films.
beautiful ones, but also a little tricky because you didn't get them, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like off the...
I feel like that's all on me, though.
But all films that anybody would be like, I know that film,
Yeah.
right?
Especially between me and you.
Yeah, and then you fucking give me like the weirdest films. Not the weirdest films, but like, dude, I'm never gonna fucking
Well,
guess
I'm
that.
used to playing with my brother.
Yeah, maybe you guys have
And
more.
we are very competitive in this game. And
I
we
see.
try to come up with the most obscure thing that you're never going to guess.
Yeah,
And it's like...
but
you
that's
gotta-
the game, right? I could have picked a film that you've never seen, and then been like, I picked this.
Well, right. But
Yeah.
I obviously thought you would have seen these films.
Yeah,
which
no,
is
I
why
have
I'm
a
getting at-
massive gap in my film knowledge.
Oh.
It's pretty massive, and I
Let
blame
me
my
just say
mom.
what films they were. They were
Yeah.
Saturday Night Fever
Yeah.
and Spartacus by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, that
Okay.
one I was fine with. Spartacus, I didn't complain about.
A little.
No.
I would have never guessed that. I would have never
No,
guessed that. Oh my
that
God,
is not
Zach,
true.
okay, I'm
Get
sorry.
the camera of the bus.
So sorry.
Get the
sir.
surveillance camera. That's not true.
That was
Spartacus,
actually in
I was
between
like,
shoots that
yeah, I probably should have gotten that one.
Oh, well, internally. Thanks for letting me
No,
know.
no. I think you're mixing things up here. Then Saturday Night Fever. Who the fuck has watched that?
Just about everyone who's like above a certain age.
I've never seen it. And then all the clues you were giving me, I knew in my head. I was like, "There's no way."
Same. And it was so awkward because I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to be another one that he
You're like,
doesn't
it's
know.
a dance move that everybody uses, and I was like,
And not everybody uses. Let's get it straight.
the fucking
said it was a
robot. I was like, what dance
I
move?
said it was a classic, iconic dance move that was
No,
made
you said,
popular
You said
through
he
this film.
invented this dance move.
I don't think I would have said that. I think
I might
maybe
have
the
made that up.
film made it famous.
I see. Okay. God, I wish we had surveillance cameras. So the Saturday, fuck it, I don't even care.
Moving
Move on to the next thing. I've got no energy.
But then I think last week, I'd say that was the hardest work week that I've ever had. Even harder than a week on Boris and Johan.
No way.
For me,
Really?
personally.
Because of the baby?
No.
Oh,
Just like I think Boris and Johan would have had you would have had more of a strain because you were the director.
yeah.
And that you
Oh,
had
that
to
makes
like
sense,
take
yeah.
care of everything.
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah.
I think they were close for me, but I feel like last week was harder. Just like physically,
Long
time
days.
wise,
Yeah.
and then also like technically and having to be on, and then also being involved with a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
So like meeting people, directing people.
Yeah.
Big groups of people
Yeah.
who didn't necessarily want to take part, but had to, and people who weren't
Well, let's
expecting
explain.
us. And
What do we go shoot?
well, we were hired by the Gentofte municipality
Kommune.
to shoot a video about a sports program that they have out there for students,
Yee.
elite athletes who are
Yee.
still in school. They provide extra support for them
Yeah.
in ways of giving them extra time to finish assignments or coordinating, even coordinating like entire year of going to school longer just to fit in the classes that they need to do. It was quite cool. It sounds cool if you're an elite athlete and want to make that part of your life.
Yeah.
Being able to have that. But we went around and we followed a bunch of different athletes in their sports, and then also filmed like a lot of different sports. We shot
I would say we probably shot like 9 sports.
we did like more regular sports like tennis,
Badminton.
swimming,
Yeah.
volleyball, and then we did sailing,
Yeah.
kayaking, ice hockey,
Fencing.
fencing.
Basketball.
Oh my god, basketball.
We couldn't make it for the
Oh,
basketball
the
team.
basketball was so bad.
So we just had to film Mads playing basketball.
My fucking knee hurts after doing that as well. I did
Yeah.
that. I tried to dunk that one time,
Yeah.
and I did like this big like boom, and
Yeah.
afterwards I was like, "You didn't just do that, Mads. You did not just do that." And I've been really, I'm a little worried actually.
Really?
Yeah. I'm supposed to go on a 2-hour run today, and I honestly don't think I don't think it's a smart idea to do it.
Stretch her out.
I did a 40-minute run the day before, and yesterday I biked for 2 hours.
Okay.
And when I'm done, it is like sensitive to the touch, and walking downstairs, it's like,
Ooh.
doesn't feel good. And it was blue afterwards after
Ooh.
the basketball. It was like, it had like bruised on the side, even though there was no physical contact on it. It was just internal.
Ooh.
And it's all from that fucking rock climbing thing I did where I like fell down from the wall and just kind of landed a little funny on a stiff leg.
When was this?
Just like months ago when we were still climbing at
Really?
yeah. Remember I couldn't
Yeah.
run for like 2 months?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing.
It's not from the one where I fell in skiing. That knee's fine.
That's weird. You got weak knees, brother.
I think I did something properly wrong to it.
Or you just have weak knees. Does your
Okay.
dad have weak knees?
I don't think so.
So we filmed all that stuff. With the one I really liked was the sailing.
That was insane.
I thought those kids were really cool. And I just found it fascinating. Sort of what we had talked about a little bit. I was like, it feels a little bit random, life in general.
Yeah,
Like
totally
what you get
random.
into, why you get into it, what's presented to you, what did you not know about that you could have tried.
Yeah.
When I asked that kayaking girl, I was like, how the frick did you get into this? She's like, oh, I was at a summer camp, and then we could try out a bunch of different sports, and this is the one that I kind of liked or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, I feel like so many things in life are like that. Like, it's just what you've been exposed to. So
Yeah.
almost, as a parent, the role is just to expose your kid
To a bunch
to
of
as
stuff.
much as possible, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
And then let them decide. But it's also this thing of like, it is just random. I mean, it could just be the day that you're feeling good as a kid,
Yeah.
and you see this cool kayaker, and then you're like, that's what I want to do for the next 20 years. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go to the Olympics with it.
It's like even you have that thought,
Yeah.
and then you go to kayaking summer camp, and then the first day you get in the boat, and you happen to like sit in it a little awkwardly, and it tips over,
Yeah.
totally on accident.
Yeah.
And someone sees it, and it's like, oh, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, let me help
Oh,
you.
you're not a natural.
And everyone's watching, and
Yeah.
you feel bad about it, and you feel awkward, and then you never want to kayak
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
even though that was meant to be your sport
Yeah.
forever. And one little thing changed it.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
It's so bizarre. It's like everything from hobbies to what you do in life to what you want to do as service to relationships to it's all just a fucking random network of things.
Anyone who says this is the only thing I could do, this is the thing I'm meant to do,
Yeah.
or this is the only person I could be with,
Yeah.
and I'm meant to be with this
Yeah.
person. Bullshit.
See, I'm slowly learning that. I used to
All
be
liars.
so into the idea of like a soulmate, right? And now it's like, it almost seems...
Just the chances that the one person that you're meant to be with comes into your life at the time when what
is meant to be with? You know, that's the
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you can't quantify that at all. Yeah, I find it fascinating, but it's also this like, I think that's the reason you can also feel like, you know, what else is out there? What is there anything better? Is there more to life?
Yeah, keep looking.
Because there is never going to be this one thing that kind of satiates every part of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was so cool to see these kids so passionate, but then also just like, you know, when you go from fencing to sailing to kayaking to tennis in one day, you just kind of get this perspective of like, oh, it's just like that's how they form their social groups. Those might be their friends for the rest of their lives. Those like childhood friends, you know, that you met sailing or whatever. And it's like, oh, gives me the shivers just thinking about it.
I think it has something to do with just also sticking with the thing that you end up kind of liking a little bit the first time you do it.
Yeah.
And not, I think it could be a bad thing if you're constantly like, well, what if there's something better? Or like, I should also try this. Like, maybe sometimes it's good to just like, you only got a handful of things you can do.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to really do this.
But it's a little crazy. It's a little like, if I think back to me saying like, oh, film is the thing.
Yeah.
According to what?
According to like a
Just
couple of things.
I saw something and then it was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Like a crazy person.
A little bit, I guess.
You know, I would say somebody who says, I don't know what I want to do in life.
Yeah.
Is way more like rational in a way.
Yeah. I can see what you mean.
Yeah. I find...
you see, okay, so when people ask me, like, what would you do if you didn't do film? I feel like I can answer that with, like, a bunch of things that I'd want to do that sound interesting to me.
But would you be
I'm not
happy
going to
doing
do them. I'm going to focus on film.
Yeah.
It's like it's like I accept that I can only really do one thing good when it comes to a career.
Yeah.
At least right now.
Yeah. I think I could have done
it doesn't bother me.
Things, but when I really think about it, I think I wouldn't be as happy. The same way I'm like, I always like the idea of going back to school and studying and learning.
You're not going to do it, though.
Because every time I go to a school setting, like, because we were shooting those high school kids who, we should also explain that in Denmark, high school is like some weird fucking, like you got 20-year-olds in there and that's totally normal.
Yeah.
It's not the same as America. They said they just call it high school because that's what America calls it, but it's really a like post-high school thing.
It's a little bit like university or college.
Yeah, really. And then I guess you go on to another university or whatever. Who fucking knows? But every time I go into that class, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It's like I shrivel. Like when we went into that biology class, just the pace at which it's taught and this sort of like, hey, you, what do you think about this? You know? And it's like in my head, I love that. But then when I'm there, I'm like, oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. It's so slow. It's so boring all of a sudden. And then I was like, yeah, I guess I just prefer to, if I'm interested in something, read a book about it.
Yeah.
But then there's also limitations to that. Like I've done some things where I'm like, it would be really helpful to have this is the time where it'd be helpful for me to have a professor to be able to talk about it and they could explain things to me that I'm literally reading the book but not getting, you know? But the sort of pure, you know, what I really don't like to see is the sort of memorization. The like, you know, what is this? That's a river. What's this? That's a delta. What's this? Oh, that's some sort of gorge. Like, who fucking cares?
I think for me, it's I don't like that it's one way of learning. And if you happen to not get that as quickly,
Yeah.
and it takes you a little longer to learn that way,
Yeah.
then you immediately fall behind. And for the whole year, you feel like you are just playing catch up. With
Yeah,
some of
if you
those
miss a
students who
class or if you
happen to just be better at learning that way.
Yeah.
And obviously, there are schools that are able to provide more like specialized learning care. But it takes so much. I mean, imagine having every student have a one-to-one teacher. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
But not everyone learns the same. So there are bound to be people who do better and people who do worse. And I feel like, I mean, at least I felt very much like I wasn't good at things, and that determined a lot. I mean, going back to this idea of random, I happened to be good at film, you know, for maybe a variety of reasons. Maybe the teacher I had just happened to be more into this kind of learning that I was able to. Oh my God, the dog's trying to break in.
Okay, buddy.
Now you're stuck in here.
Strutting in here? It's like, yeah, you opened the freaking door for me.
And the environment in which we did film just happened to suit my learning curve better.
Yeah.
And so I felt more confident about it. So I decided to keep pursuing it. So I got into it. And now that's what I do.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe had I had a different math teacher, I would have become I don't know, unlikely, but you know, I feel like that's a big part of it is how you feel about
Definitely
what you're learning. And if you feel like you're good at it, you're constantly comparing yourself to the people who are sitting next to you.
But that's the problem, right? The fact that if you're in a math class and not that I'm like a genius in math or anything, but obviously subjects would come up that you're better at than others, and subjects would come out that they're better than you. And I think the issue is when you get it right away, but then you still have to sit through a week of, and here's another homework thing, and here's another homework thing, and you're like, dude, I fucking get it. Like, I don't need, I want to move on.
Yeah.
Because it gets boring.
Yeah.
And now I've lost interest, sort of. And now maybe I skipped the day of school and I missed the first lecture on the next module.
Yeah.
And then I fucked myself for the next, you know. I really never had a problem in school, but I think things like that definitely, I just see it. And I'm like, the sort of, you have to learn at what the average rate of learning is.
Yeah.
You can't slump down when you need a little bit more time, and you can't speed up when you sort of get things.
Yeah.
And I have it's the same with editing. When I worked at the companies in LA, I have a very like low tolerance for people not understanding something, which is just like not fair and not being patient with people sometimes and stuff. But it's like, if I get something, nothing bothers me more than somebody explaining it over and over and over and over again. And it's like, dude, I fucking get it. Let's move on. Let's optimize it. Let's change it. Let's, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
Yeah, and that came, I think, like editing and all that, I taught myself with YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's something where you can watch at your own speed.
Everything.
You get
Yeah,
it. There's no homework. There's no, you know. And you find yourself, that's when you're like, oh, I'm just going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
With homework, it's like, this is the thing for tonight, and it's all in the same module, and it's all the same. If I get it in the first 10 minutes, there's nothing to move on to. So it just feels like this, you know. But you're right. I mean, what are you going to do? Have every single student be his or her own?
Everything I can think of right now that I'm into or that I do is something that I would have done alone by myself.
Yeah.
Afterwards, like
Yeah.
film, you can go home, you can watch all these films. You
Yeah.
just keep doing that
Yeah.
forever. Like even running, out of the sports that I did in school, running was the only thing that I would do outside of training by myself alone.
And that's stuck with you, obviously.
Yeah, that's the only one that stuck.
It is those things.
Yeah. Speaking of books
Yeah.
or things like movies or TV shows, it's review time.
It's review time! And during this song, let's let Arlo into the other room.
Yeah.
It's review time. Movies, podcasts, books.
I mean, let's start with Game of Thrones.
Are we going to spoil it?
Spoilers ahead. Skip to
46:58.
We'll let you know when we're editing it. If
Gotcha.
you don't want to listen to this.
Gotcha.
Last episode.
I freaking loved it.
best episode ever. I don't know. I get very caught up in the recent stuff. I really loved it. I got very excited. What I like is when I can't guess what's gonna happen, and I'm like, they make you think this is maybe gonna happen, and then they turn it this way, and I just appreciate being taken through the storytelling. I really like that. And then you start to see, oh, that's why they set this up in the previous episodes. That's why this and that's why this. But I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they strike the balance of not making it predictable and still, obviously having to build up the story because you want to care about the characters that have more of a presence in these episodes.
Right.
So like you should be able to, like, in hindsight, be like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. But I guess there's just too many things.
I think that's the thing. There's so many moving pieces.
Yeah.
And people say it's predictable, so I don't know. I feel like I'm generally terrible at predicting things.
You know what?
My brain, I don't think about the end of the movie unless it's so fucking bad or such a trope that it's like, so I don't know. If it's not that, I'm not going to even think about half the time where it's going. Just kind of let it hit me.
People say it's predictable. People say it's this. People say it's that. But only the people who ended up guessing it are the ones who are saying it's predictable.
But people even say it in hindsight.
Exactly.
Oh, I fucking knew it.
That's what I mean.
No, you didn't.
That's what I mean.
You never said it.
And I don't think it is that predictable to be. Looking at it
in a general sense, I guess.
But it's like,
they were going to win
too if it went the other way. It's like,
yeah.
oh, that was so predictable.
Right.
Like anyone could say that for whatever ended up happening.
Right.
Besides like some just stupid thing that no one saw coming. Like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I don't take that very seriously.
Yeah. No, I think there's no way you can satisfy everybody, obviously.
Yeah.
And if they got us to love it and other people hated it, well, it sounds like it was right on the mark then.
Because we're more important than other people.
Exactly. That's exactly what my point was.
Matter.
Exactly. More important.
Well, we haven't really spoiled anything, but we loved the episode.
Thought it was great. I don't have anything. I can't even remember, honestly, that much. But I just remember thinking.
I was just so into it.
Yeah, that's
I was
the thing.
so excited watching it. And also what's going on?
Yeah.
I just felt all the emotions.
And again, I just love being part of it,
Yeah.
I just love being... It's
You're in it. Oh, right, because you don't watch any other TV shows that
just
you're
such
up to date
a
on.
wonderful night to be part of with everybody.
Another thing
for
review time. So I'd like to recommend a podcast.
Okay.
A Tim Ferriss podcast with Michael Pollan
Okay.
about psychedelics. It's one of those things where it's like you gotta pick and choose what you're into.
Yes.
I am into film, my relationship,
And
running,
fucking psychedelics.
and no, there's no room for it. But it could be one. If I had to, it sounds so interesting to me.
Yeah.
I've never thought about psychedelics.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's never been a thing. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Really. I know what it is, but I listened to this podcast and I was like, holy shit. This is crazy. I've talked to you about this a lot.
Yeah.
I've talked to Phoebe about this a lot.
Yeah.
I can never do this. I just started it.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
what
was interesting about it?
It's oh man, so many things are interesting to me. So the first thing is my skeptical. Okay, so there are two guys talking about psychedelics. One guy's written a book on it, and the other guy is very interested in it and has done a lot of research on it and a lot of studies on it. And so it's a very scientific conversation. And the whole time I'm like, oh, hang on, why have I never heard this before? Why have I never heard of all the benefits there are to taking psychedelics when it comes to treating mental illnesses, specifically PTSD?
Yeah.
And that's my only thought the whole time. I'm like, okay, I don't really believe anything because otherwise it would be common knowledge and it would be medicine. Until they start talking about, well, pharmaceutical companies wouldn't be interested in trying to sell you a pill that you only need to take once and then it solves all your issues. That's not very good business plan.
Yeah.
And the same for therapist community. It's like if you go to a therapist once to be guided through a psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
And the studies show that that is enough to kind of make massive progress. And
Yeah.
that you don't need to go
Yeah.
again. It's also not very good for business. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm interested to listen. Because then it suddenly made sense why I wouldn't have heard about it before. In the same way, when it comes to like veganism or something, the first time you hear it, you're like, I haven't heard this before. Like, why is this just some big secret? I mean, I don't really buy that. And then suddenly you start to realize why this could be something that certain people wouldn't want to be common knowledge. And then it starts to make sense. And then it's like, okay, well, then I have time to listen to what you're actually talking about.
Do you think do you think there is some sort of villainous character at the end of it? Or do you think it's something very like it works in their favor, so they choose
Kind of like evolution a little bit.
What?
Well, you know, like
Kind of like
evolution on the outside can be like, well, why, like, how could a wing be designed?
Yeah.
As if someone sat there and said, we're going to design a wing because that's going to be useful for like certain animals to be able to fly around.
Yeah.
Whereas evolution is not about like an end goal. It's rather a random series of events that happen to benefit that species.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That it's kind of more of a random, like the companies that end
Yeah.
up doing better
Yeah.
are doing good because they don't talk about that, whether it's on purpose or
Right,
not.
exactly. Like there's not somebody there saying, "What? There's a pill that helps people? Cancel
we
it.
don't want
Throw
that."
it down the trash." It's more like,
No, I don't think it's only that, of
Yeah.
course. But I do think that, I mean, it makes sense if you have a pharmaceutical company to put more money and research and time and effort into stuff that's going to make your company more money.
yeah, that's true.
You're going to get fired if you don't do that.
Yeah.
So I do think that there is, whether it's a villainous intent behind it, I don't think that, I mean, I don't know. That sounds a bit.
Well, I just
bit
find
dark.
sometimes the like, they don't want to sell you a
conspiracy
pill.
behind-
Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit, right? And it's like, exactly. I think there are strong motivations, which is most definitely money,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day. But
The thing
yeah,
is
there's
that-
so many things about, like with psychedelics especially, it's just like a culture of, I mean, just in the past, I want to say like 10 years, weed has become something that people are like, okay,
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's saying it's like the greatest thing ever, but it's like the whole thing of like, you're going to smoke pot and go retarded, I think is over pretty much, right? I used to be like
Yeah.
my mom would say that, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
if you smoke, like you're going to go, I think intellectually disabled is what we would say now.
Right.
You're going to become a vegetable. It could kill you. So I think that stigma, and that's just for weed.
Yeah.
I mean, which is mildly psychoactive.
Yeah.
And then going to something that is fully psychoactive
Yeah.
is like, obviously people are very
Yeah.
like, that's got to be bad for you.
Yeah.
It's got to be, say no to drugs.
That is obviously a big part of it.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, exactly.
But it's like the research is there, the science is there, the studies have been
Yeah.
done that prove that this directly
Yeah.
helps with PTSD.
Right. Ecstasy, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I found it so fascinating to listen
Yeah.
to. So I've just ordered a bunch of books on psychedelics. Not that I'm about to take psychedelics myself. I
Yeah.
don't think that's something I need, but I'm just interested in that. I mean, a lot of what I'm working on with my script is this idea of being able to go through an experience in a very short period of time,
Yeah.
like in a day,
Yeah.
that can transform your life.
Yeah.
And I heard one thing in that podcast that really stuck with me, which was, well, if you can go through a traumatic experience, a negative experience like sexual abuse or a terrorist attack, and it can affect the rest of your life because of that one experience that's now part of you and part of your brain.
Yeah.
Why can't it happen the other way, that an experience can have an immediate and long-lasting effect on you in the positive direction,
Right.
like a psychedelic
Right.
experience?
Yeah, we were
And
talking
that
about
made
that.
a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And I've always been like, well, okay, so you're just going through this experience, this trip, and a bunch of things are happening that aren't really happening. It's
Yeah.
all in your head.
Yeah. But then everything's in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so is a traumatic experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's physically something that's happened, or something that happens in your environment, or
Right.
even to you. But it's the way you start to associate yourself with that event, with that experience. That is what determines whether or not it's a
Right.
thing that affects you.
Right.
Like if you weren't able to remember it, for example,
Right.
it wouldn't affect you the same way. And I think that suddenly opened my mind up. Like, yeah, I just felt like open-minded about
Yeah.
listening to what psychedelics had to offer to people suffering from mental health. And so I went on to watch a documentary, which is my third
Okay.
review,
Okay.
which is called Trip of Compassion, which is an Israeli documentary about, I believe 3 patients out of 10 who, I think in like maybe like 10 years ago, went through a research experiment, and they were treated with MDMA for their post-traumatic stress.
Right.
And it's actual video footage of them going through the experience, being guided through a therapeutic experience under the influence of this drug. And it was so interesting.
Really?
It was so interesting to see the things that they were saying. And it's just like, I've always thought it's just some like party drug. Like, oh, you start to like love everyone, and oh, you start to see stuff, and it's like you hallucinate, and it's like weird and fun.
Yeah.
I'd never thought about the fact that it can remove your ego and make you see things in your life from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And you start to connect things that you weren't able to connect before. So it's not that it's creating things that don't exist. It's that it's revealing things that you already kind of know, but brings them to the surface and makes you understand them in a way that makes you actually take action on those things. That was the part. It's like everyone knows that, you know, this and this is good for them, and that these things are bad for them. But like, not everyone follows those things. It's only once you have a different perspective and you actually see just how important certain things are for you, or how bad other things are for you, that you actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Like smoking, for example.
Yeah.
I think one of the things they were talking about in the podcast was a woman had gone through an experience and had come out saying, yeah, I definitely don't want to smoke anymore. And that's why she had taken the drug in the first place, was to deal with her addiction to smoking. And they were like, well, can you tell us kind of what you experienced? And she said that she had this insane trip and was flying through the world and had lived 4 lifetimes and had died and become ashes, and her ashes had been spread over the Ganges and had been spread over the oceans, and she had been all over the world all at once. And afterwards I realized that there's so much to see and experience in the world, and smoking is a pretty silly way of potentially cutting that life short. It's like, yeah, that's not new. It's not like you learned something that no one else has thought about, but it changed her perspective about it and made her feel it in a different way.
Right.
Like, yeah, I understand it, but I feel it now, and I want to actually do something about it.
It really just cuts into your patterns, I think, and your habits.
Yeah,
and
it interrupts everything.
Exactly.
It like removes yourself from the equation a little bit.
Right.
For brief seconds, you can actually see the truth behind it.
Right. Yeah.
I sound like I've been in a psychedelic experience. Yeah. I haven't, but I almost feel like just listening to it and watching other people was enough for me to kind of be able to see what it would be like.
Yeah.
And
I think probably the part of the reason why it's seen as a party drug is because when you make something legal, it finds its way to the party scene.
Right.
You know?
I mean, this other guy, he had been, from the documentary, he had been sexually abused by his father. And so he's been living with this feeling of self-hatred for years because he was molested when he was actually quite old and could have easily done something about it, but in the moment completely froze. And so he says that he feels like he's been frozen for the rest of his life, and he's not really present in his own life, and he really suffers from talking himself down and internally and not being able to communicate with his kids properly. And then while he's on this drug, you can just see that he starts talking about how he's been so focused on receiving love from other people. Like, did they actually love me? Or like, because, he thinks his dad loved him, but why would he do something like that to him? So he's questioning, does my wife actually love me? Do my kids actually love me? Am I worthy of love, or am I, should I just die and it would be easier for everyone? And that actually I should stop focusing on whether or not people love me, and I should just love myself, and I should just love other people. I should just love my kids. I should just love my wife, and I should just love myself. And I feel really good about myself. And it's like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Like, it doesn't sound like some crazy thought, but it felt like he really felt it. And I mean, the thing that's interesting about the documentary, it shows them afterwards as well, and he's made massive progress in his life afterwards. And,
I think they are.
And had, and it's worked.
Yeah.
He says he felt like he went through 15 years of therapeutic treatment in one night.
That's crazy.
So that's a new thing. You got any reviews?
I watched The Purge.
No, don't review that.
Well, I have to say what I watched.
Okay.
I give it a 1 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So nothing can be worse than that.
No.
It's the worst film you've ever seen.
No, you could have many 1 out of 10s.
It's among the worst films you've ever seen.
For sure.
Damn.
It's really bad.
It's as bad as something. What else is bad?
I wouldn't be able to say off the top of my head, because part of with the whole DVD thing, which we talked about last time, is that like it's forcing me to watch movies that I just typically wouldn't watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never picked up that movie to watch.
Yeah.
It's just really bad. And we can leave it at that.
Don't watch The Purge. Not worth it.
Yeah, don't watch it. Although, who's it? Ethan Hawke is in it.
Is he?
So that was surprising.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck. How's he? And then he did another movie with the director. I think the director's next movie. So they must be buddies or something. I don't know. But I was just shocked. Shocked. That was the true horror of that film. The horror of how terrifyingly bad it was.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Was a true horror movie. Horrible.
So you learned not what to do.
Huh?
You learn what not to do if you want to make a horror film.
I just was like, who? Because I thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about murder and all this stuff. And they do get into they talk about, so basically it's supposed to be one day of the year, or a 12-hour period every year in the new United States where there are no laws. Right. And that's supposed to be a cathartic moment for everybody where you release all your violence tendencies. And then, for the rest of the year, you're good. You've kind of purged yourself of that need to kill and our most animalistic selves, right? So again, it's an interesting idea, executed just awfully.
Right. So that's maybe more what's bad about it, is that it's not even a bad idea. It's that, you could have done something good with it.
Well, I think they knew what lane they're in. They're in horror, and that's what they wanted to do and everything. It's just one of those things where it's like, just a lot of it just didn't make sense, and it just didn't scare me. I think that's what it boils down to. It's like, if you're making a movie to scare people and it doesn't scare you, well, obviously it's missed the mark.
Yeah, that's true.
Although other people could have enjoyed it, and I looked it up and made a lot of money, so good for those guys,
Oh, I have it on DVD. I was one of them.
You bought it. What else? No, that's it.
You didn't watch American Psycho?
Not yet.
Good. I'm glad you didn't, because
Yeah,
I remember
to cool off a
I
little.
remember coming home the day that you had said that you were going to watch it, which was right after what I called the most intense work week of my life. And I was like, I hope he doesn't watch it, because he's not going to fucking listen to a thing.
Crashed. I've been actually, since then, I've been like pretty brain dead a little bit.
Really?
I think I'm also thinking it's right around the time off of this psychedelic thing. I think part of what it is that you get into your habits, you get into, your daily living, and it can feel like you're suffocating a little bit at times. Like you're just doing the same thing over and over, but you don't notice it unless you kind of look in hindsight, and you're like, what the fuck have I been doing?
And he's like a bird's eye view.
A little bit. I'm just on like autonomous robot mode.
Yeah.
And I think that happens to me. And that's usually when I get depressed, I think. And so I think the hike is kind of coming at the perfect time.
It is.
Where it is, I would say those things are very similar, where it's just something that takes you out of your comfort zone, forces you to do something completely different. And I know when I come back, it will be like, you know,
I think
sitting on the couch will be like, oh my God, a couch. How amazing. How fun. I think that's what it is, basically. And I will admit, I have taken psychedelics and stuff, and that's part of what I craved in college as well. It's like, we wouldn't do it all the time. I mean, those aren't drugs that you really like, let's do it every fucking night. We're going to go crazy.
Oh, yeah, they're not addictive.
They're not addictive, and they're quite, like, intense.
Yeah.
You know, it's
they're
not
not
like
always
every week you're
pleasant
like, I want to
experiences.
have a 12-hour trip.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a full day thing. Right? It's
like a
not
lot
like
of effort,
oh, I'm just going to, at the end of the day, kind of do this, and
not
then
a
I'll be fine
relaxing
tomorrow.
thing.
No.
Requires a lot
Right.
of
So
yourself.
I think in many ways I do seek that out. And part of, you know, talking about how you can do it other than drugs as well is this sort of, and you had talked about the Iron Man is sort of that to you, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Exactly.
they all
That'll be
fall
my
into
big
a,
trip.
a pool of I don't know, things that take you out of your
Like a
pattern.
reset button.
Yeah.
A little bit. And
Yeah.
we need them every so often.
And I think it's the same with, you know, your environment kind of determines so much about how you act, I think. And I think it's the same with drug addicts who, you know, we watched that documentary called like Lone Boys or whatever was it called?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
No.
Something Boys.
Yeah. The
And
Lost Boys.
Lost Boys something. And they all go to these drug rehabs and they're doing so well and everyone's like changing their lives and you're like, yeah, they're going to do it. It's going to fucking work. And then it's like as soon as they go back to that
To their
environment
habits,
that
yeah.
you're so used to, you know, they fall back into old habits. It's such a powerful thing. And I know it also from like cigarettes and stuff where it's like just certain things, you know, it's like bang. It could have been 8 months of not wanting, thinking about a cigarette, and one little thing that you're used to. Like I was at the bar last week, or a friend came through to visit, and we were at the bar and having drinks, and that's something I haven't done in like probably like 9 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. Like
Yeah.
that urge came back so strongly.
That's
like I'm just
great.
gonna go outside and have a cigarette. Just ask somebody for a cigarette. It comes back like a motherfucker, and then you know, I just find that interesting. The whole, and I think that's why I like to move a lot as well, because it puts you in different, you know, especially right now. It's like that routine of like, there's the couch, there's my computer, there's the. I think that is part of the reason why you fall into that sort of. You come home, you sit on the couch, and you do it enough, and it almost becomes like impossible to do something else. You know, because I think your brain loves a good routine.
I'm very excited for when you come back from your hike, because it's definitely, I think you'll have time to think about things.
Yeah.
And you'll come back and you'll have some kind of change of perspective,
Yeah.
and that you'll have ideas, or you'll have at least some kind of, not that you don't now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, oh, this is what we should do.
Yeah.
like, with the company.
Yeah.
And in the same way, I'm gonna have been experiencing what it's like to be a dad for a month and a half.
Yeah.
And just my whole routine is gonna completely change.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna have the same kind of
Yeah.
change of perspective.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna come together again
Yeah.
afterwards.
But it's something you
it's gonna
have
be like-
to do. You have to do it. Because otherwise, even with something as exciting as starting a company, where it is every day we do something new,
Yeah.
even that can become mundane.
Yeah.
Even the most pleasurable of drugs, like heroin, even that can become mundane to somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know
Well,
from
just
experience,
the,
but I
just
know,
the
I know
idea
what
of
you
like
mean,
the
yeah.
most stimulating thing done over and over and over again is going to be
Yeah.
boring to you one day.
Yeah,
So you have to find ways to,
It's very good.
you know.
It's gotta, I mean, it's definitely something that we,
And I don't think it's something you should be ashamed of to say
No.
like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit, you know, maybe we haven't pushed hard enough with the company in a while, or we're both feeling a little bit of a rut or something, you know. And it's like that shit is always going to happen. And it's partially your responsibility to notice it and then be like, fuck,
something
we
about
got to
it.
do
yeah.
We need to hire somebody. We need to get an office. We need to push. We need bigger budgets. We need
Yeah. That's what I mean.
like an addict. I need more. Yeah.
But like
You know.
all these podcasts that I'm listening to, which are just basically interviews with very successful people in different fields, they all have some kind of similar habit of every couple of months, like every quarter, year, they dramatically do something different.
Yeah.
Just to like see what it's like.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a trip or it's changing something or
Yeah.
living somewhere differently, changing their diet or their choice of workout or something.
Right.
Something to put things in motion again, to
Yeah.
get you thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I think we're on the right track.
Right track. And I think overall, because sometimes I want to say this, because sometimes I think people think with the bets that I do, that it's like, oh, that's who I want to be in life, is this perfectly optimized. And it's like, that's not really the point to me. The point is just to put myself in a different state of mind for a month. And then I come back to my regular life with a new perspective. And then I stick in that regular life a little bit too long and I say, hey, fuck, I need to do something again. I need to change this about me. And every time you come back, every time you change something, you get better at it. It's not like you lose that month, right? You know, or the same with, I think people can get upset at themselves. I think my roommate's a little bit like, if he doesn't go to the gym or something, or if he gets in a bad, and it's like, yeah, but you don't lose. It might feel like you've gone back to zero, but it's like, no, you just got to go back. And it's fine to do it in waves, in my opinion. I think some people would say, no, you should change who you are as a person. And now you're the guy who goes to the gym 6 days a week. And that's you
Forever.
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great. If you can do that, fucking awesome. But I think for me, and yeah, just for me, that's not how I live my life. You know?
No, I don't think I do either. I think even...
And you notice it, and then you appreciate it. Like the rock climbing. We haven't done it in so long.
Well,
I have such an urge to do it.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you got to figure that out again then.
Yeah.
I know we don't have the money necessarily, but it's like, but we do.
Speaking of that,
you know?
that's something that's interesting because one of the things I wanted to talk about, we can maybe wrap up with this because I find it interesting, is that having started a company this year,
Yeah.
it has, we said, yes, we want to start a company. Like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
But what it really has been, it's been saying no to a bunch of other things so that we can focus on actually doing the thing that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And like rock climbing recently has been something that I'm not doing it because I don't have the money. I'm not doing it because it's of the things I want to do, it just doesn't cut it.
Gotcha. For me, it's the money thing.
Well, I mean, that's how it started. But the reason why I haven't gotten back into it was because it's like, yeah, I am like Iron Man is more of a priority for me right now.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah.
And so it means saying no to rock climbing. It means saying no to all these other things that I want to do. So it's like, it's not all about just saying yes to everything.
Yeah. No.
You got to really say no to like almost everything so you can say yes to like 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I feel like we said no to a lot of things in the past year to be able to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about it. It's not like I'm complaining.
No.
It's like, I don't go out. You don't go out.
No.
We don't have any friends.
No.
We don't do a lot of things that a lot of people do and that are fun and that I would like to do.
Yeah.
It's like I chose to do something that I really want to do, and that is more of a yes to me than the other things. So it doesn't feel like I'm saying no. It feels like I'm saying yes, but I mean, it's also worth noting that it means saying no, and that's the hard part.
Right.
It's fun to say yes.
Yeah. 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 I don't know if I'm that conscious about it, to be honest. I think you make those decisions.
Yeah, it doesn't mean
you know.
You have to be conscious about it. It's like
Right.
I'm gonna toughen through it and not
No,
do this.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, there's no room for it.
Yeah,
right
it
now.
doesn't.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't really feel like a sacrifice when you don't really think about it.
Yeah,
You know.
No, it's a
But
good,
in hindsight, it's like, yeah.
I said no to all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when you do it, like I said, when I went out to the bar, I was like, this is nice.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, why don't I do this normally?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't this a bigger part of my life?
Right.
It's like going to the beach on the weekend. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is good.
Yeah.
I want to just go here all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All these other things. Right.
Or like rock climbing. Oh my
Yeah.
God, why don't we should go?
Fuck,
And I'm
I
like,
want to go so bad.
when?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm also like, I see myself transitioning into it again as soon as I'm done with the Ironman. And then
see.
that's going to be my fucking...
That's what we should do.
Then I'm going to have the climbing goal instead of the
Yeah.
Ironman.
Yeah.
And then that's going to mean my whole year that year is going to look totally different than this year.
big wall
Because it's going to be focused on learning those skills and training for that. And so that's another reset. All the things. Whoa.
All the things. Well, I think that's a good place to cap it off.
That is a good place to cap it off.
And we will see you. Who fucking knows?
Mid-July, I'm
Don't
saying.
you dare ask us when the next episode is coming out. It's cool.
One thing I do want to say.
What?
I do want to say that a big goal for me. I love goals.
Yeah.
I'm an addict.
Go.
The next time we record a podcast, if it is going to be in July or later.
There totally might be one next week.
There totally might be one
Yeah.
next week. It's pretty. That's crazy to think. Maybe I'll be a dad this week. If that happens, there won't be a podcast next week.
Wait, so you're not a dad right now?
I don't know.
I thought that about
works.
because Mother's Day, and I was like, am I supposed to say Happy Mother's Day to Phoebe? But I was like, I don't know.
Well, we went with it, and we were just like, "You're a mom," and
You did?
We celebrated it.
The
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah. I don't know. It was fun. Like, why
Shit.
not?
I would have gotten some flowers or something. Well, it'd be even better next year.
Is that the next time we record the podcast, I really am so goddamn set on having the first draft of my script done.
Boom.
And I actually see that it could work. It's not some like wishful thinking.
No, you've got the time.
I think I actually have the time. Parents out there going like, he thinks he'll have time.
There's always time.
I'll see. But that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
That's like like when he's born, I feel like that'll be something that is a perspective change for me.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
know
I
what I
think-
want to do, and I know that that's really the most important thing
It is.
when it comes to my work.
Well, because I think what needs to line up is that when Boris and Johan goes off to festivals, it would be stupid not to have
I know.
the backup. If
And
somebody
it's-
says,
yeah.
hey, do you guys have another one?
Yeah.
To be like, give us a month.
Surprise, here it is.
Yeah, it'd be like, yeah, of course, here we go.
It is.
We could start pre-production now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think we should be ready for that.
So, I mean, I think that'll be the first thing I say on the podcast next time. It'll either be, yep, I got my first draft done, or no, and I'll have to have a bunch of excuses.
Nice. Oh, I'm so
See you
excited.
then.
Bye-bye.